let me start this by saying this upfront. I know most of you didn't plan to be here calmly, notebook open and coffee in hand. I know you're probably screening profiles while listening to this webinar, or probably coming from a hiring manager escalation, or maybe worrying about a role that's been open too long. So don't worry, this is not a product demo. This is not a slide deck about AI disrupting the hiring. But honestly, none of that helps when your ideas is overflowing, your calendar is blocked, and every resume rejection feels like a risk. So what we are doing today is different. So this session is designed to reduce work and not add to it, to remove decision friction, not introduce another dashboard. You will live with clear mental models, better screening decisions, less burnout in the next 90 days. Here is the core belief we operate on as a company. So recruiters don't fail at scale because they lack the tools. They struggle because the system forces them to make high risk decisions with low quality signals repeatedly under time pressure. If that sentence resonates, you're in the right room. Over the next 30 minutes, we will talk about what's actually breaking in screening today, why first round filtration is the real bottleneck nobody fixes, and how modern recruiting teams are redesigning screening without burning out. So no buzzwords, just things you can use this hiring season, not the next year. So let's get into that. So let me start with a very simple question. Probably how many of you here have already felt that hiring pressure this year? Especially post Pongal, I can see a lot of job spiked. So let's see some response. Let's see some engagement from the audience. So answer maybe probably yes or no. So how many of you felt that pressure of the January hiring season? I think I personally saw it post Pongal. I'm getting a LinkedIn notification saying that number of product manager jobs have increased by 22% from last week. And this notification keeps on coming to me every week. And also the number of registrants of webinars also increased from last webinars to now. So I think there's pretty much surge spike. So let's see some sort of participation in the chat probably. You can just type as if you're seeing this surge in the process. I mean, if you're seeing the number of openings have increased, number of candidates applications are increased. Okay, so yeah, hiring season 2026 is officially back, and it's back with volumes across Naukri, LinkedIn, Indeed. Job openings have surged, especially after this Pongal job surged extremely. I'm getting this LinkedIn notification. That's how that evidences this particular surge. One open role today is actually attracting somewhere between 500 to 2000 applications in just a few days. So here is the real problem. While applicant volume has exploded, recruiters' headcount hasn't. Workload is scaling exponentially, but teams are expected to move just as fast, if not faster. So hiring didn't actually become easier, it became more noisier. India's Q1 hiring outlook is up by 52%. So, which sounds like a great news, and it is. But it also means decision fatigue and longer screening cycles, hiring chances or higher chances of missing great candidates. And this sets up the big question who we'll explore today. In a world where hiring volumes keeps increasing, how do you scale decision quality without burning out your team? So here is what actually causing this spike. So firstly, the budget unlocks. Leadership holds hiring until there's a certainty. Then the switch flips, and suddenly every role is urgent. And second is the backfill attrition. Attrition doesn't show up linearly; it surfaces in batches. After appraisals, cycles, restructures, or freezes. So recruiters aren't hiring for growth alone; they are hiring to repair operational gaps. And the third, this is new, AI-driven job syndication. One JD today doesn't live on one portal. It explodes across LinkedIn, Naukri, Indeed, referrals, aggregators instantly. So that means recruiters don't get more candidates over time. They get too many candidates immediately. And here is the most dangerous part. Candidate supply now grows faster than the role clarity. Roles are still evolving. Hiring managers are still debating about expectations, but applications are already flooding in. So recruiters are forced to screen before the target is fully defined. So this is the core tension I want you to take away today. Recruiters are overwhelmed by this simultaneous ambiguity and urgency. You're expected to move fast, be fair, avoid false negative, and protect hiring quality all at the same time. And this is why peak hiring feels different now. It's not just busier, it's cognitively heavier. You are making high impact decisions with incomplete information under severe time pressure. So if we don't redesign how the first screening decision works in this environment, no amount of extra recruiters, tools, or dashboard will fix the problem. And that's exactly why we are going to unpack what we are going to unpack next. So many of you probably could feel that January hit, and most of the people responded yes in the poll. And yeah, suddenly your hiring pipelines are exploding. So what happening here isn't just a seasonal spike. I see this as a structural shift. Applications have tripled in just 3 years, but hiring outcomes haven't improved at the same rate. In fact, they have become harder. Recruiters today are running significantly more interviews for the same single hire. That means more calendar chaos, more fatigue, and more surface level decisions, often made under pressure. But when you are dealing with 500, sometimes 2,000 applications for the single role, the real risk is slow hiring. It's missing the right talent entirely. It's the uncomfortable truth. We didn't design our hiring systems for volume at this scale. They were built for a different era. So the question is no longer how do we screen faster? It's how do we screen smarter without burning out the teams or compromising quality? So let's take a step back and look at what's really changed in hiring. Yes, roles open suddenly as the applications volumes can jump 5 or even 10 times overnight. But those patterns aren't new. What is new is the speed at which decisions are now expected and the uncertainty that comes with them. Recruiters are being asked to move fast without additional capacity, without better signals, and without the luxury of second chances. Every decision feels final and every delay feels costly. And this is why hiring today feels heavier than before. It's not the workload, it's the weight of the irreversible choices made with incomplete information under intense time pressure. So the challenge is in front of us is isn't scaling activity, it's a scaling confidence in us. And the question we need to ask is how do we give hiring teams clarity when velocity is non-negotiable? So at this stage, hiring teams aren't failing because they lack effort or intent. They are failing because the signal to noise ratio has collapsed. When most recruiters' time is spent on first round screening, the work slowly shifts from judgment to survival, clearing queues, protecting calendars, and keeping the pipelines moving. And under that pressure, even experienced recruiters are forced to make faster calls with weaker information. That's when the real damage happens. Strong candidates get filtered out early, not because they lack potential, but because the system can't surface it clearly. At the same time, weaker fits move forward simply because they are easier to access quickly. This is the critical insight. Volume itself doesn't break hiring, noise does. And noise doesn't just slow teams down, it quietly reshapes decisions in ways we only notice months later. So the question becomes how do we remove noise without losing speed and give recruiters their judgment back? And that's the problem we need to solve. This is the one of the most counterintuitive truth in the modern hiring. As volume increases, we expect our screening to become stronger, more data, more candidates, more choices. But in reality, the opposite happens. Each additional application quietly reduces the time, attention available per candidate, turning evaluation into a pattern matching instead of understanding the candidate. When that happens, signal quality degrades. Important nuances like how someone thinks, how someone communicates, how they solve the problems, get or they get lost because they don't reveal themselves in the resumes or in any rushed first round conversations. And here is the real paradox that faster the system moves, the less it actually learns about the candidate. We end up optimizing for speed because it's measurable and urgent, while insight, what truly predicts success, becomes the casualty. So the question isn't whether screening can scale, it's whether insight can scale. And answering that question requires us to rethink how signals are captured in the first place. This is where everything compounds. The first screening step isn't an administrative filter, it's a decision quality step. Every interview that follows, every hour spent by the hiring managers, and every final offer is built on the assumptions made at this point. When screening is weak, the cost isn't just for a few extra interviews. It shows up as a panel fatigue, misaligned evaluations, and eventually hires that don't perform the way everyone expected. One poor signal at the start quietly multiplies into many downstream mistakes. But when screening is strong, sometimes very different happens. Interview loops get shorter, conversations become more focused. Teams spend their time validating high potential candidates instead of searching for them. And this is why improving screening delivers disproportionate impact. Small gains here at the start create massive gains everywhere else in the downstream. So the question isn't about how do we interview better. It's about how do we get the first decision right. That's the leverage point we are about to unlock. At its core, hiring isn't a volume problem or even a process problem. It's a signal detection problem. Resumes gives us scale, but the signals are weak and noisy. They tell about what candidates claim they can do, not how they think, or how they communicate, or how they perform under real conditions. Interviews, on the other hand, give us rich, high quality signals, but they don't scale. We are forced into a trade of scale without insight or insight without scale. So we have to choose one. So this is the constraint every hiring system today is built around. And it's why screening feels broken. Not because teams lack effort, but because the tools were never designed to extract strong signals early. Now imagine a different model. What if we could capture interview quality signals before the human interviews even begin? At that scale, resumes give us. So that question changes how we think about screening. And answering it is where the next evolution of hiring begins. So this is the part of hiring that everyone quietly accepts, but rarely challenges. First round interviews are hard to standardize. Even with scripts, no two recruiters run the same way. Over time, the questions depth varies and the evolution become inconsistent without anybody realizing it. So they are also deeply repetitive. Asking the same baseline question all day doesn't just drain time, it drains attention. When attention drops, judgment follows. Add the math to this. 15-30 minutes call doesn't sound unreasonable until it's multiplied by hundreds of candidates. At that scale, speed becomes the priority, not the understanding. Decisions get rushed, bias creeps in, fatigue starts more making choices for us. And here is the uncomfortable truth. First round interviews consume some of the most expensive, skilled hours of recruiters at deliver the lowest return on insight. So the question we need to ask here is not how do we do first round interviews better. It's still humans still be doing this work at all? That's the question where the real shift begins. So when we look closely at first round interviews, what we see isn't a broken step, it's a broken system. Manual screening calls are constrained by human bandwidth. Scripts exist to create consistency, but in practice, they limit the depth. And because evaluations rely heavily on individual judgment, outcomes vary more with the recruiter than with the candidates. And the misleading part is this. We assume time spent equals rigor, but in reality, spending more time on low signal conversations doesn't improve hiring outcomes. It just consumes the capacity. So teams end up investing their scarce, I mean, the scarcest resource focused at human attention into a stage that delivers the weakest signal to noise ratio in the entire funnel. Once you say this clearly, a different question emerges. What if the first round wasn't about conversation at all, but about capturing the right signals objectively at scale? That reframing is where the real transformation begins. Let's talk about what really happens between a job post going live and a shortlist being created. Not the ideal process, a real one. Shortlisting today is a set of survival tactics. Keywords filters become because keywords filter because there is no time to read everything. 6 seconds resume scans between the meetings. Knock out questions to reduce volume. Experience heuristics because they are quick, but when all else fails, gut feel under pressure. So now layer on the recruiter's reality, constant contest switching, multiple roles at different stages, a backlog that never truly clears, and a quite persistent fear. What if I just rejected someone great? This is why speed has become the default. But speed without signal doesn't create quality, it creates noises. The process moves fast, but it's neither fair nor predictive of who will actually succeed. And here is the key point, this isn't a people's problem, it's definitely a system problem. And once we accept that, a better question emerges. What would shortlisting look like if decisions were driven by real evidence instead of shortcuts? That's the direction we're heading next. So let's zoom in on that moment we rarely question, the first few seconds of resume screening. In those 10 seconds, we are not just making a quick call, we are systematically filtering out the most human capabilities in the hiring process. Things that one deeply matter someone is on the job, but almost invisible on paper. Something like communication, how clearly someone thinks and expresses ideas, a decision clarity under pressure, the way a candidate frames problem before jumping into solutions, their learning velocity, the speed at which they adopt when the role changes, which it always does. None of this shows up reliably in resumes. And these are the traits that determine who actually succeeds. So what we end up selecting for is history, where someone has been, what titles they have held, not capability or the potential. And that leads us to a critical question, if the most important signals aren't on the resume, why is resume still the gatekeeper? That question forces us to rethink the very first decision in hiring. This is an important distinction to make. The problem here isn't human capability, it's human limits. First round interviews have quietly become a volume problem, but humans are wired for depth. We are excellent at understanding nuance, asking follow ups, and reading context, just not 100 times in a day. As volume increases, the cognitive fatigue sets in, emotional energy drops, judgment becomes inconsistent. Two candidates saying the same thing on different days can receive a very different evaluations. Add experience variance to across the recruiters, and the system becomes even noisier. Under time pressure, documentation turns into summaries instead of insights, and critical context gets lost. So, what breaks at scale isn't intent or effort, it's consistency. That leads us to a pivotal question, if humans are best at depth, what should handle volume? And how do we design a system where humans apply judgment only where it truly adds value? When hiring starts to break, the instinctive response is to add more people, more calls, and more steps on the surface. It feels logical. If volume goes up, the capacity should go up too. But this is where most organizations go wrong. All of this fixes scale, cost, and complexity, not decision quality. They increase coordination overhead, slow down the teams, and still rely on same low signal first round conversations. The core problem remain untouched. So instead of asking how do we do more first rounds, we should be asking how do we change the first round? How do we change what the first round is designed to? So this is where the hiring model fundamentally changes. Instead of forcing humans to operate at scale they are not built for, we flip the equation. AI takes on the work that demands consistency, patience, and volume, high throughput screening, and baseline evaluation, and filtering out low intent applicants with zero fatigue and zero drift. That creates space for humans to do what they do best: deep dives, contextual conversations, judging team fit, making final calls that carry real consequence. The impact isn't incremental, it's structural. When AI observes the noisy front end, recruiters' time shifts from screening to decision making. Shortlists move faster because they are cleaner, and soft skill signals become clearer because they are captured consistently, not sporadically. The natural question now is, what kind of AI can actually do this well? How does it capture human level signals at scale? At this point of time, AI in recruitment is no longer experimental or no longer the future. It's present and it's directional. Across the industries, recruiters aren't just trying AI tools; they are also reporting tangible gains. Time saved, higher productivity, faster cycles, and most importantly, relief from the most draining part of the job. What's interesting is the speed of adoption. In just 1 year, AI usage in recruitment jumped sharply. And by the end of this year, a majority of organizations expect AI to be a part of the hiring stack in some form. That doesn't happen unless there's a real value being delivered. But here the nuance that matters. Not all AI can create leverage. Some tools automate tasks, others can change outcomes. And as investment pours into the space, the gap between AI that looks helpful and AI that actually improves the decision quality is widening. So the question isn't, will AI be a part of the recruitment? That's already answered. The real question is, which AI models actually move the needle on hiring quality, not just speed. So before we go any further, it's important to clarify what we meant by agentic AI, because this isn't about chatbots or some simple automation. Traditional AI helps you do tasks faster. Agentic AI, while it takes the entire responsibility for getting you the outcomes. In hiring, that means systems that can operate independently within the clear boundaries, running screening workflows, gathering signals from multiple touch points, and evaluating candidates against role specific criteria without needing a constant human intervention. But here's the critical distinction: agentic AI doesn't make decisions instead of humans. It prepares decisions for humans by structuring evidence, highlighting the trade offs, and recommending next actions based on a consistent logic. Think of it as a decision making partner for you that never gets tired, never skips the steps, and never loses contest as volume scales. The question then isn't whether agentic AI can screen candidates, it's whether we trust our hiring systems to act intelligently when humans can't be everywhere at once. So, understanding how that trust is being built is what we will explore next. This comparison makes the shift very clear, not in theory but in practice. Traditional screening was designed for a world where volume was manageable and time was flexible. In today's environment, it turns into a bottleneck. Hours are spent reviewing profiles that don't move the table, while decisions vary depending on who happens to be the screening that day. Agentic screening flips this dynamic. By automating evaluation at the front of the funnel, candidates can be assessed in seconds using the same criteria every single time. That consistency isn't just faster, it's fairer too. What equally important is the candidate experience. When screening is slow, opaque, and candidates disengage, when it's responsive and transparent, trust goes up, and even among those who were in shortlisted. This isn't about replacing judgment with automation, it's about deciding where judgment mattered the most. So the real question becomes now, what happens to hiring outcomes when humans step in later with better data, clearer signals, and fewer candidates to evaluate? So this is the practical manifestation we have discussed so far. Instead of asking resumes to do a job they were never designed for, we move screening into a capability first model. Agentic AI initiates short focus screening conversations designed not to chat but to extract specific signals tied to the success in the role. The questions are role specific, structured, and intentional. They probe how candidates think, explain decisions, and approach real problems, signals that keywords filters simply can't capture. Behind the scenes, structured evaluation rubrics apply the same criteria to every candidate. No drift, no subjective shortcuts, and critically, no recruiter involvement at any stage. The outcome is the fundamental shift in how workflows. Recruiters don't review resumes anymore, they review the insights, clear summaries, comparable signals, and evidence based recommendations. So, next question become what kind of insights do recruiter actually receive from this, and how does that change the quality of hiring conversations? Now let's talk about a concrete way to structure high volume screening without losing quality. We use a three-layer model where the first layer is about the eligibility. So just like a basic first HR call to check the location, availability, remuneration, the basic fit of the role. And second is it's the heart of the screening process. Here, AI evaluates both soft and hard skills, the communication clarity, reasoning, problem solving, role understanding. Unlike traditional screening, we are capturing real signals that predict on the job success. And the third layer is a decision summary. All insights are synthesized into a concise, data backed rationale for recruiters. They no longer wade through hundreds of profiles. They focus on understanding why a candidate is a strong fit and makes decisions faster, more confidently, and with far less cognitive strain. This layered approach isn't theoretical, it's a practical architecture that scales without compromising judgment. The natural next question is how does this translate into actual time savings, improved quality of hire, and measurable business impact? So here's what's the impact of agentic AI becomes tangible. Instead of wading through hundreds of resumes, fragmented notes, subject to impressions, recruiters are handed something entirely different: a concise, structured, one page candid brief. Each brief comes with objective signal scores, highlighted strengths and potential risks, and a confidence rating grounded in data, not guesswork. This transforms the recruiter's role. No more guessing who might be a fit or spending hours cross referencing information. Instead, recruiters can focus on meaningful conversations with the right candidates, making faster, higher quality decisions. In a practical terms, AI turns 500 resumes into 25 confident, actionable decisions without adding human effort. And uh, that raises a compelling question: what does this level of clarity and efficiency do to the overall hiring outcomes or the team bandwidth and the business velocity? Imagine being able to evaluate over 100 candidates in just 24 hours, not by hiring an army of recruiters, but by rethinking how the process works. With AI native hiring, every candidate's receive an expert level evaluation, even when human subject matter experts aren't directly involved. The system can scale horizontally, running multiple candidate assessments in parallel, all while maintaining consistent bias-free scoring. And because it's AI driven, it's always available. Candidates can complete screenings at their convenience without slowing down your team. The real shift here is not just speed, it's quality at scale. Teams that previously struggled with volume now gain bandwidth consistently and fairness, and also with fairness. So, what does this do to the hiring timelines, decision confidence, and ability to truly capture top talent before competitors? So this is where the real transformation becomes visible. By offloading the time-consuming, high-volume screening work to AI, recruiters reclaim their most valuable resource, that is time. And with that time comes the ability to focus on what truly drives hiring success. Recruiters can now engage deeply with stakeholders, ensuring alignment on role expectations and the profile of the ideal candidate. Interviews shift from ticking boxes to exploring cultural skills, critical skills, cultural fit, and problem solving abilities. And finally, recruiters can invest in closing offers thoughtfully, creating a candidate experience that fosters acceptance and loyalty. So as we look ahead, the role of recruiter is evolving, and it's not about working faster; it's about working smarter. By offloading repetitive, high-volume tasks to AI, recruiters become decision architects, experts who interpret signals, weigh trade-offs, and make strategic hiring decisions that truly impact the business. The recruiters of 2026 won't be buried in resumes or screening calls. They will focus on judgment, strategy, and shaping organization through talent. So here is how the AI interview looks like. So let's have a preview of it.
Well, it's recommended to take this interview in a quiet room. This might last around 40 minutes. Let's start.
Can you hear the voice of the
Can you
video?
briefly tell me about yourself?
Hi, I'm Mohammed Farid.
Yes, we
I
can.
completed my
Yeah.
engineering in 2023 in MIT Kundapura. After that, I started as a associate software engineer in Symphonize. My working domain is DevOps and cloud. I'm working in both AWS and GCP, and also I'm dealing with some on-premise tool like Docker, Docker Swarm, Ansible, and many other tool like pipeline, github action, and Jenkins. Yeah, this is about me.
Thank you for sharing. Can you describe a situation where you had to work with a difficult team member? How did you handle it?
Yeah, yes, in my entire career, 2 years of career, I have seen many difficult situations. I handled that situation very professionally and calmly. And for example, when I get the production issues, right, first I'll understand what is the issues, and I'll go through the logs, and I'll inform to the team members and team lead, and I'll find some solution for that, and then I'll get approval from my team lead. This is the solution I have. Uh, can I implement or not? And like that, I handle the situation in many cases professionally and calmly. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Tell me about a time you had to adapt to a significant change in the workplace.
Yeah, when we are really patient, right, then we will get the like that. Yeah, first of all, I'll understand the what are the tasks I have, and I'll list down in a notebook, and first I'll deal with it. After, at the same time, we can
Thank you for sharing that. Can you describe your preferred work style and how you ensure?
plan like I'll write this, right. First of all, I'll that where I'm mainly the multi-cloud expert, right? Where I'll use the cloud formation and Terraform. When it comes to AWS, I mainly prefer cloud formation because of AWS have a wonderful service, that cloud formation that supports wide resource of AWS. Uh, for example, we have 50 numbers of Lambda in a project. I used to create all the Lambda particular project, and I Where in the GitHub action mainly we used to deploy for the code to GCP. Our pipeline mainly contains the steps like first part is it will take where we used to pick the image. Yeah, when it comes to Docker, right,
Thank you for sharing.
we didn't used to expose the key to static application where the attackers can easily get the key.
Much in AWS or similar tools in GCP.
Yeah, this is the very critical or very mentioned in previously, right? Ansible I used to use for the many automation purpose like
Lines mentioning
So
specifications like
if you look at, there are HR round initially,
Jenkins,
and
GitHub Actions, or
there is a
AWS
resume
pipeline.
yeah.
validation, and there is a JD fitment, and there is also a personality assessment. So this interview is actually a 20 minutes interview now, 40 now, but it's changed to 20. So this interview is structured in a way how human interview actually happens. So if we look at when we look at what exactly happens in a human interview, so we initially take the resume as a reference and we try to validate each of the information in the resume is true or not. Because resume is just a claim that I know that, but there is no validation. So the interview ensures that, validates that. The same thing the AI interviews does on behalf of the human. And second thing, as a recruiter, we have a the checklist of XYZ skills. So the A interviewer ensures that the candidate can match each of those requirements or not. And apart from that, it also asks some HR related questions and also personality related questions, which drive some insights on the soft skill aspects of the candidate. And this is how the report looked like once the candidate has given the interview. We can see a scores of joining probability and experience fit, along with the video recording and the transcripts of malpractices, if any, caught. And this is also the complete, this combo is the report, how the A interview report gonna look like. So this would help us to understand the candidate's potential much better and a valid in a more validated proportion. So just we can think it in a way that whether we should evaluate the candidate just by resume or by first round interview. The first round interview always obviously sounds good, but it doesn't scale. So instead of a human doing that, like we have created that AI which can do that first round just like you does. And it's structured in a way that it has the resume validation questions, it has a JD fitment check questions, it has HR related questions, it has personality assessment questions. So these questions are not same for all. This is not an automation or a simple chatbot that answers question. It's not at all a chat automation just converted into a voice format. It is there is a lot of data, lot of voice is analyzed and converted into text, and again it is processing that text and understanding the response and asking a follow-up question to the candidate back. So this entire process is happening in a fraction of seconds. So that's how the AI system is built. So it is better or more capable in terms of a surface level conversations, where when we have thousands of applications, it's better that AI interviews the candidates rather than we going through the resumes. Obviously, if humans can interview, definitely humans are good with depth. Their interview is definitely better, but it's coming at a cost and time. I mean, just imagine 30 minutes interview into 1,000 candidates. So there's a timeline, there's a resource involved, there's an effort involved, and inconsistency. Pitches in, bias pitches in again. It's not a fair evaluation. So since the AI is set to work as per some standard, so it's better instead of going to the resume and shortlisting the candidates, trigger them an AI interview and let the first round interview happen so that we get insights on what is the candidate capable of doing exactly, instead of whatever he can put anything on a resume. So but we can't just blindly believe on that particular claims. So we need a validation, we need to interview them and let that AI do the interview. So this hiring season spike can be sorted instead of increasing the recruiters. We cannot increase the recruiter bandwidth. Obviously, we have to increase the recruiters number of recruiters. So instead of that, and for a fair evaluation of the candidates, so it's very recommended to leverage AI interviewer to have a fair evaluation process in this peak hiring season. So, any questions from anyone? Probably we can. So I'm happy to answer those.
Hi, Sharath. This is Purnima here from Sai Shilpo Solutions.
Yeah, hi, Purnima.
Hi. Sharath, I mean, the tool is doing lot many things. I think, when it comes to assessment, I think it's doing personality, which is wonderful. And then it has resume screening, which is good, and also the JD fitment. So three things
Yeah,
done wonderfully well.
and
But
also HR round, and also HR related question.
and also the HR related questions. Okay.
Yeah,
Great. So my question to you is, see, you
yeah,
get a detailed AI report summary, right? I mean, it's quite
yes,
a detailed and a long report. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah,
Um, you went to the right screen. So
yeah,
I wanted to understand, have you tried this already with your clients? Because
yeah,
okay, okay. And how do they perceive this kind of long reports, and do they really, go through these kind of reports? Because
yeah,
what happens is the reason for this question is
yeah,
we are still following the manual process, and our recruiters are still doing the manual interviews. And then,
yeah, right.
when we, provide the highlights of a certain profile to the client, the
Yeah,
client, the client doesn't take the time to go through the highlights of the profile, right?
yeah,
We
right.
provide our recommendations and all that. Okay, they just think, okay, the resume is there. Okay, it's come from this company, so this is the company that they are working from a long time. Okay, so that's good. So they just go ahead
Yeah,
and they pick up the profile, and it basically runs on the trust and the authenticity of the partner or the vendor, correct?
yeah,
um,
right.
so now the mindsets have to change. They will have to, probably get into this kind of AI reporting, and they should get used to, viewing these kind of charts and these kind of whatever percentages, whatever you're showing, and
Yeah.
they should have the time maybe to go through this AI video recording. So am I right? Even the AI video recording
Uh,
also
Yeah,
also
I think I got your question, Purnima.
yeah.
Probably, I think I like the question more than this PPT. I think so. So if the scenario is if you are forced to go through the entire report, I mean it doesn't create a difference in you going to the resume or you going to this report. It's the same
Mhm,
time, right? So there, if that is the scenario, probably this tool isn't worth. I mean,
hmm,
there's no difference where we're just changing some format or something, or some text is changed to some else text. So the point of here is, it's not this report is not meant to replace the resumes. So when you are having 1,000 resumes, when you're posting a job, you're getting 1,000 resumes. So
mhm,
what is the next? What is the immediate thing you do? You go through every resume, right?
mhm,
And what you scan the resume in less than 10 seconds probably.
mhm,
And what happens is if we see some IIT tag, yeah, we get biased because of the pedigree. Or if we see some Zomato, ex Zomato in the experience section, yeah, maybe
mhm,
known companies, known terms, known keywords actually creates that bias.
mhm,
So we only can remember those things. Okay, when
mhm,
when you see some 100 resumes at once, so what
mhm,
happens? Would you remember who is the 65th guy? You won't remember that.
mhm,
You
mhm,
can only remember, okay, I saw maybe 5 or 10 of ideas. Okay, I saw 5 or 10 of maybe Zomato or some any known keywords that you are familiar with. So you only shortlist that, you only remember that. So the practical scenario is you cannot go through 1,000 resumes today or even
No, no,
100.
I got your point, Sharath. I totally understand. So this is
Yeah.
more on the recruiter side of it, right? My only
Yeah.
contention here is, okay, the
Yeah.
recruiter shortlists, okay, out of the whatever 100 or 1,000 CVs that the recruiter gets
Yeah.
using this AI tool, and
Yeah.
then whatever 10 CVs maybe would have got shortlisted out of 100, and
Yeah.
the 10 CVs would have to go through the next round of the client interview, correct? So when the
I would
CVs are
I would say
sent,
this.
huh?
I would say if the volumes are more higher. For
Okay.
instance, so what happens is if we take 500 or 1,000 or even 100 also works. So if we take some 1,000 applications, so instead of ATS score, we have a resume match score. So this score is far better than the ATS score because ATS only checks that X keyword is present in a resume or not, or a keyword called MBA is present in this or not, or a
Huh,
keyword
ठीक
called
है.
tableau. That
Okay,
is one layer.
okay.
That layer would bring the 1,200, right? So
No, I
now
got it.
you,
So how does the customer perceive it? I mean, can the candidate, directly go to the, L2 or L3, from the customer perspective also, I'm thinking, I totally
yeah,
get your point from the recruiter perspective.
okay,
Okay, so with this report that we
yeah,
generate for the right fitment candidate, can the
yeah,
candidate directly get into a final round of interview with the client? So
no,
can this
no,
report, set a benchmark, and can we
yeah.
say, hey, we have got him interviewed and we have tested all these skills. So can the hiring process be shortened, and can he directly make an entry to the final round of interview? Can this give so much of confidence? Is what I'm asking you from the client perspective.
So if the candidates take this interview, the first benefit the candidates would get is, so currently traditional process, if you look at, okay, I'm applying some 10 and 20s of jobs and I'm getting rejected because they are scanning that and I don't get a chance, so I'm being rejected and I left unanswered in most of the cases without a feedback. The first thing I get is, if AI is interviewing me, if a person is not available, his bandwidth is low, if AI, if they let the AI interview me, so the first benefit I get is I was able to explain what I have done so that I can make this system understand what are my capabilities to this particular AI, or maybe place a person over there. Your
Mm-hmm.
maybe your assistant, your junior recruiter is interviewing me, and now she is shortlisting and giving you the saying that, okay, this guy is good with this XYZ, this guy have done this XYZ, and yeah, I have validated it. If that kind of insight is given by your junior recruiter or a AI, it doesn't make a difference. But
Mm-hmm.
will that be still worth for you? And will that be still worth for me as a candidate? Yes, I get a chance to prove what I have. I get the chance to prove or explain what I have done in the future, sorry, in the past. And I can also validate, I can also prove that I have actually done it instead of just a claim. Because the kind of question it asked me, yeah, just like a human, right? So I get a chance so that I get a fair evaluation.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, no, I completely appreciate the product from a recruiter standpoint. Okay, there are no two questions about it. The only thing I'm trying to understand is how is it getting perceived from the client perspective? Are you running this kind of report for your client? I mean, are you sending this report, when you send your shortlisted profiles? Are you
Yeah.
also sending this AI interview report to them? Do they even look at these reports? does that say anything to them?
So
Do
for
they get the
instance, we have
confidence to take it to the
yeah. So for
to
instance, if we
shorten their cycle? That is what I'm just trying to understand. Because yeah, our
okay,
cycles are one thing, but then the client also has their own rounds of interviews, correct? So I'm
yes,
just
yes.
trying to figure out if this report can shorten the client hiring cycles, and does this give enough
Okay,
confidence to them to carry out,
yeah.
say, maybe a final face-to-face interview or something, and just go ahead with a closure?
Okay, so far without the AI interview report, what is the hunch? Why do you trust a staffing company? It's just the rapport or the relationship between you
Yeah.
and the
Yes.
right client and the vendor, right?
Yes,
I,
absolutely
I
right.
mean, it's just a gut. It's just a gut feeling. It's just that you don't know
Absolutely.
someone better.
Yeah, you got it right. You got it right.
Yeah,
So if we can go with yeah, this AI interview report is wonderful, but I think this is only touching the high level, or touching the superficial layer, if I'm not wrong. Correct.
yeah.
It is,
It is for, so we call it
so
for,
it
this
is
is for
more
first round
beneficial
interviews,
for
not for
the
every interview.
vendors. Understood. No, I got it. So it is more
Yeah.
beneficial for the vendors or the partners or the for the staffing company. Okay. But to
Okay.
shorten those cycles which the client has, because that is even more time consuming today,
Yeah.
because they
So
are going through three
yeah,
rounds,
got
four
it.
rounds, or sometimes even 6 rounds of interview.
And why is that? Why is that? Why 6 rounds of interview? I mean, nobody
Six
likes,
rounds
no,
of
like, no, not
interview.
the companies likes, not the candidates likes it. Why?
Yeah, I
Can
mean,
you?
nobody likes, yeah, as you rightly
Because
said in
they
the
are
first
not
first two
gaining the
slides,
confidence on the
they
candidate.
are they are actually, exactly, they're not getting the confidence on the candidate. They are also sometimes not having the clarity on the JD. That could also be
Hmm.
one of the reason, or the
Right.
JD gets updated somewhere in between. That may
Right.
also be the reason. So
Yeah.
just keeping all these reasons apart, okay, because this is not in our control, right, from the client
Yeah.
perspective. Correct. So
Right.
just keeping
Yeah.
all these apart, I just wanted to understand if you have something, like an SME kind of questions, for each of the skills. Okay.
Mhm.
Apart from
Yeah.
just the personality or the resume screening, or whatever is the third criteria you are assessing upon. Apart
Mhm.
from that, some SME related questions. For example, see, for
Yeah.
just for an example, I'm sorry, I'm taking a lot of your time, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. No problem. Yeah. Probably
So,
would
for
help others
example,
too. Yeah.
no, I think we can take it offline also. That shouldn't be a problem. I just want to make one point. For
Yeah.
example, say we had a .NET requirement, okay? .NET with
Yeah.
Angular and also microservices. So basically, a complete .NET full stack kind of a requirement.
Yeah.
Okay. And we have sent so many resumes, about
Yeah.
70 and odd. We just had to pull out the data, slice and dice the data. So 70
Yeah.
resumes we have already sent to our
You have
client.
sent to the
Okay.
client. Okay.
Yes. 70 resumes. This is after our internal screening process. Our internal screening process is also very stringent.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is after the internal screening process. We have sent it to the client. But still, we have not got a selection so far. There's one candidate who has gone to L3, the third round
Yeah.
of interview, which was a face-to-face interview. It is all
Yeah.
done, but still we are waiting for the final feedback.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
So
and this
so
role is open for the last 3 months.
yeah, because they're not feeling confident.
Because see, because they don't
That could be
care, right?
one
It's
reason,
the
but there
vendors
could be
who are
other reasons too.
sending the profiles. It's the vendors' cost. It's the vendors who are burning their recruiters. So they
Right.
are,
Right.
they really are not worried upon, right? So for them,
Okay.
it's that elusive rock star which they are looking at. Okay,
Yeah.
which I'm
Yeah.
not sure whether they will really get it, but the role is still open. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So,
Hmm.
how can we resolve this kind of a problem? May not be with this tool, but just think about, how can we resolve, this kind of an issue and shorten, the hiring cycles for the client maybe have an
Yeah.
SME interview or something and get those
Yeah.
reports and culminate everything, and send like uh, a synthesized report, between this, human touch or whatever your resume screening report and also the SME report. Just culminate both of these together and maybe send it as a package, to the client, so that
Yeah.
they just get the confidence viewing those kind of reports, and they just call the candidate for a final face-to-face interview, and they should make a decision
Yeah. Yeah.
in that
So
interview.
yeah, so here the problem which you mentioned, there could be multiple factors, multiple reasons. First thing, the JD might get modified or
Yeah.
changed or updated. That is a scenario where you have to update the system again. I mean, you have to know that the JD is updated. You have to. I mean, if when a company is looking for vendors, they are also looking. They are looking for multiple vendors. It's just like a running race today, right? Who gives the candidates first? Or there are some dedicated vendors where they only give requirement to a couple of those, not put a race across. So if that is a scenario, if a company is having, if a client is having 500 staffing vendors, probably you wouldn't be able to get the updated information. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just that you need to deal with the limited information what you have. So when you are dealing with a company which is only working with you, not with any other vendor, at least for one particular role, not
Mm-hmm.
I mean unspecific role, right? So some vendors are very good with Java based evaluation, some are good with SAP evaluations. So probably if that is the scenario, they would definitely update you about the updated requirements, so that so far what you have done, probably you need to add one more filtration layer or
Mm-hmm.
one more assessment layer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if this could be one reason, the JD getting updated or the
Yeah.
requirement getting changed, right? And second thing is how uh, companies are not even giving a detailed JD. They are just
Yeah.
saying I need a front end guy with some XYZ, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not the complete checklist. There is rest of the requirements which they have in mind. It's just that they don't translate well, so that you are unaware of it. So there is a miscommunication or a communication drop happening. What they want versus what you understood. This
Right.
this could be this could be also the second reason, right? So in that case, so if it's a human understanding requirement, or if it's a AI understanding requirement, so it's very clear. We have to make sure that all the things has to be mentioned in the JD. If
Right.
the JD is incomplete, probably we can't expect the AI. I mean, we didn't tell to the AI model that what we want,
Right.
whether it's a human or whether it's a can AI. We have to tell it what exactly I want. Okay, I need someone with expertise skills, also who has worked in healthcare segment with a healthcare domain expertise, or maybe with a graduation in BSc agriculture or some medical sciences. So if the requirements is clear on the text format, and when we give that as an input to the AI, so now it doesn't misses it. So the second scenario is this: when we don't understand requirement, so we have to get the requirement very clearly and use that as an input to your junior recruiter or to the AI. I'm saying your AI could be better than or cost effective than hiring more recruiters.
Mm-hmm.
It is not replacing the recruiters, for
So,
instance.
Sharat, so there is an option wherein I can upgrade the JD also, right, in the tool. I mean, I have
Yeah,
an
yeah,
initial
you can
JD, and
update.
then
Yeah, you can
okay,
update the
and then
JD too.
as I get the updated JD, I
Yeah,
should
I
be
mean
able
it's
to
just the
update.
same. It's the same behavior. When you get
Okay,
a new requirements, when the new
right.
pointers, how you
Mm-hmm.
say to your junior, you also need to say to the system. Okay, this is
Okay,
the updated
got it.
JD. I
Right.
want to add a couple of more points, right? So this is the second thing. So you mentioned that you have forwarded 70 clients.
70
So I mean,
resumes. Yeah.
yeah, 70 resumes to your client. First of all, I don't say that's a good idea. I mean, you are making your client work.
Mm-hmm.
If you are if you client gave you a task for which they are ready to
No,
pay
that
you,
was
and
for
you're giving them
multiple
a task
reasons.
back.
No, not exactly. I mean, there's lot more of scrutinization that we have done there. So initially they wanted a
Yeah,
developer, and then they wanted a lead, and finally, they wanted an architect. So that is the reason, we had to spend so much of time because of lack of clarity
okay.
from their side.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
sure.
So, the skills remained the same. Okay. It was a .NET skill, a full stack, what they wanted, but the role kept on changing. And finally, they wanted heaven and earth to come together. So they wanted an architect, wherein
Okay.
they wanted the designing, architecture,
Yeah,
somebody with very good people management skills. Right? I mean,
yeah,
JDs are
yeah,
very complicated these days. They expect everything in one single candidate, right? So, yeah,
yeah,
that's how it panned out. Yeah, but good, Sharath. Yeah, thank you so much. For
yeah,
for this demo and for your time. I'm sorry
yeah.
because I think I took a lot of time
Yeah, that's
in
completely fine.
asking the
Yeah,
question.
probably it could help even others to,
Yeah,
these are the things which we are facing, and we have our recruitment team, and I know how they work, and what are how are the workflows, and where are the frictions actually lie. So we considered all of those points, and bringing all the experience of our staffing team from last 7 years, we built this product considering each of the problems. So I think I mean, we can solve some of the problems. If the client is updating JD, I mean, what is the tool? How is
yeah.
the tool helping? Probably, yeah. I will probably give an update option, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
No, updating is also
Yeah.
one thing, and also I want to
Yeah.
understand how does this help the client for their rounds of interview. That is also something which I'm curious to know
Yeah.
if there is
So
any
firstly,
kind of
it would
extension of
help.
this tool which is possible, and
Yeah.
probably, yeah, for the first phase probably this is really good. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
probably, for your future roadmaps, if you want to think of solving this problem
Yeah.
and shortening the cycles of the customer. This is something which I think we all have to think about.
Yeah, maybe I would add a couple of lines to this point, shortening the life cycle of a
Yes,
hiring
of
process.
the
So many
interview
interviews
process of
happen.
client.
Yeah, many interview rounds happen. Nobody likes neither companies nor the candidates. They happen
Yeah,
because companies are looking for something. They know some of those points, and some points are in aware. They don't know the checklist completely. So it's always someone who outstands, right? So they want everybody has high expectations. They want megastar Chiranjeevi at Brahmanandam price. I mean, probably, everybody has. They want IITians. Basically, everybody has a benchmark. They want IITians at a fresher salary, or they want experience at a fresher salary. So these things always be there. The reason is they are not feeling confident. That's why they want some of their other team member also say yes to this candidate, so that when something goes wrong in the future, he won't be alone to face the claim. So it's there in corporates. We see this. We keep ourselves safe. So if I'm the only person who is saying to hire this guy, he's too good. Probably if he doesn't perform well in the next 3-4 months, I have to take the blame 100%. So that's what usually happens. So we also want someone else also to take the interview, so that I give 50% of consent and he give 50% of consent. So when things go wrong, I face a little. I don't face the blame completely. That's the reason why many rounds happen in companies. But the thing is, if to make ourselves confident, that's the first layer of screening process. I mean, I would say the companies should stop screening resumes. I mean, don't look at the resumes. I mean, that's what the companies are also doing with ATS. But that's again, that doesn't turn out to be helpful in 2026. So I would say don't go through the resumes. I mean, get into your system. They apply on your platform. Get into the SciComm system, and now you see a AI match score of the resume. filter out the candidates who have 70% more AI resume match score. Now, out of 1,000, the list goes to maybe 100 or 200. Now, even now, don't look at the resume. Trigger them AI interview, and out of them, again, you will get a AI interview score. So this is the major key point in this entire report. AI interview score. AI interview score, if it is better than, if it's 70 to 80%, probably the candidate is too good, too good. So if apply one more filter, people who have got more than 65% in AI interview score. Now that when 200 people or 100 people become 10 or 15, now go through this 10 or 15 people's resume as well as the AI report. So now this is a solid proof that this guy is better than the rejected guy or 890th guy, and it gives an entire justification. And the one more thing is, if the resume match score is 80% and if the AI interview score is very less, it purely says that the candidate has fabricated the resume. It's a fake resume. It's not. I mean, you can see almost 70-80% of the application resumes are fake. That's the first thing which you need to scrape out. So sometimes we have a lot of tools in the market. I can give a JD of your company and I can give my resume and I can ask the AI to transform my resume into a version which would match your company's JD, and it would give me that I would apply for the role. Your ATS, or even if the human looks at the screens at the resumes, they see more relevant keywords, and I'm shortlisted. And that's what the candidates are doing today. So when the AI interview happens, it digs deep into the conversation and try to pick out the quality signals. So that is where exactly you can get some 3-4% score. That's it. If the difference in the resume match score and AI match score is higher, it purely says that the resume is fabricated. So the candidates have not performed what he claimed to perform in the resume. Now, it also gives me insights about uh, my transition behavior, my clarity and consistency. I mean, the strengths, the concerns areas. So you were only going through 10 or 15 people's AI interview report. You don't need to even look at, and but now these 10 reports are much quality than the rejected 990 resumes. If you apply the traditional process, any of your recruitment team going through each of this resume, scanning it for 6 seconds or 8 seconds, and rejecting, putting in that, you would see the very different set of candidates from traditional to AI process. Because AI process comes with, firstly, there is no bias. We always, humans have a bias towards some familiar keywords, because we might not know the person. Bias, I'm not talking about it's a known person or not. Even a known keyword creates bias subconsciously, and our decisions get impacted with that. So the first thing is there is no bias with the AI, and there is a consistent evolution. So 1,000 people are not going to screen by one recruiter, definitely. So there are multiple people, there are multiple times. I mean, in the morning we are in high energy, a different evolution in the evening. After reviewing 50 resumes, we get exhausted, and that exhaustedness also affects the 51st candidate evaluation process. The evolution is not consistent. So in the traditional process, you have bias, you don't have consistency, and you don't have that much of time and cost. You shouldn't put that much of time and cost. So that's exactly what AI interviewer is doing. It bias free and consistent report, and definitely it validates the candidate. And also, if you look at recruiters, everybody is at a different expertise levels. So it's not always possible to review each candidate by a senior recruiter. It's most of the time the juniors do the first round of shortlist, and if the first round is not quality, probably the entire rest of the downstream gets affected. So that will not happen with AI interviewer. So that ensures that you are giving only 10 candidates to your client. So that confidence first you need to gain, so that they would also gain that confidence. Yeah, any more questions? Rest of the people.
Sharath, sorry, just one more question. Uh,
Yeah,
so when Suma, who is also on this call, was using this product,
yeah.
we found that the candidate matching score was less even for the relevant or the quality profiles. The profiles which
Mhm.
we had already screened manually, and
Yeah,
we had sent these profiles to the client as well, and we had got shortlisting for these profiles from the client side also. So
yeah,
when we uploaded these profiles to this particular tool,
yeah.
there was a very low candidate matching score. That's what I heard from my team. Um, I think about 30 to 40% was the candidate matching score, right, Suma, for the relevant profiles?
Yeah, yes, Purnima.
So
Yeah.
there are two scores in our dashboard. One is ATS score, and the second is AI match score. So ATS score is something which any ATS use, which we are calling it inefficient because we want to show the difference. That's the reason why we wanted to display that on our dashboards. So are you referring to the ATS score or AI match score? I'm talking about the resume, right? I am not talking about the AI interview match score. That's the third one.
No, no, no. We are talking about
ATS
the
score.
Okay. So can you check AI match score on the other tab, or can you open it? Probably with can you check the in on the there's a top 10 AI results. So can you check what is the percentage of that candidate with respect to AI match score?
Okay, we will check and we will get back to you,
Yeah,
Sharath.
sure, sure. We'll
Okay.
connect. We'll
Yeah, we
connect
will. Yeah,
offline. Yeah,
we'll
sure.
definitely connect back. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Yeah. So yeah, any other questions from anyone? Yeah, so probably you can try this product. This AI interviewer. We have a free tier too. You can just go to our website icom.ai and you can create an account for free and you can start triggering some AI interviews and see how it is behaving. So before we close, let's have a quick poll at the end to sum up this session. Thank you. Shreya, can you launch the poll? Yeah. So let's take a moment and answer this poll and sum up this session. Everyone, thank you.
So Sharath,
Yes.
sorry,
Yeah.
one last question. So
Yeah.
this is not an ATS, right? I mean, the scheduling has to be still done from our side, and then we go to the tool for the AI interview part of it, right? And then again, if any email has to be sent to the client, so again we do the manual process and send the shortlisted profiles to the client along with the AI reports.
Uh, So you can import, or you can you can import the candidates into the system. You can filter out the candidates. That's what I said. And then you
Mm-hmm.
can select all out of the filtered list. You can click on select all, and you can
Mm-hmm.
trigger a interview to them at once. And you can integrate your
Uh-huh.
email account to ICOM, so
Okay.
that the mails would be sent from your work email instead of ICOM email ID. So now the candidates have received that. Once they give the interview, you would receive a notification in the app that this person has given the AA interview,
Okay.
and you
Uh-huh.
can view them. And if you think now, you can also now at least 10-20 people have given this interview, and
Okay.
out of that probably 10 people have got good score, and you can filter out those candidates who has got more than some 65% interview max score, and you can
Okay.
select all. You can click on share applicants. You can just enter the client email ID,
Mm-hmm.
so it would trigger them an email. So
Okay.
if they open
Okay.
that link, they can check out the reports and the resumes. They don't need to authenticate or something. They just need to enter their email ID, and they can see their data.
Okay. Okay. So it's all notification based. I mean, even for the candidate scheduling also, there's a notification that goes to the candidate once our email IDs are
Yeah, it
integrated.
would trigger a mail. I mean,
Okay,
yeah,
it will
the
trigger
candidate should be
a
knowing,
mail to the
right? Yeah,
candidate also.
yeah,
Okay.
the candidate should be knowing, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, you can also connect your WhatsApp, and you can also send this particular communication via WhatsApp also.
Okay,
We
okay.
have
So,
both integration support.
okay, that's nice.